Hey, this is Aaron Daines, and this is going to be my individual presentation. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Alright, so starting out to talk about static versus instance variables. A static variable is associated with a class in every instance of the class. So to define one, you use the keyword static. And with an instance variable, you don't use the keyword static, and it's specific to an object. So the cool thing about static variables, it's available essentially throughout the class, whereas an instance variable is just within that object, that method, whatever it is that you've defined. So different uses for those there. And then moving into the static method. So with the static method, something else does not need to call it. It stands on its own. It doesn't. It works well when it's only going to be used once and not by different methods. And that differs from the non-static method, which we'll talk about in a second. So just got a little snippet of the code here from the game, just how you define a public static void in this case. And then this one's the display map method. So we've got our static method, moving on to the non-static method. So because this is non-static, something else would need to call or reference it to essentially allow it to run. On this one, you define it as public void and then the name of the method. In this case, it's to display the help menu view. So with this method, we do have to have something to call it or to reference it. And in the game, for this specific method, in our menus, we've got a lot of different options, and one of them is to display the help menu. And so when a user inputs their that they would like to display the help menu, then it calls this method, this non-static method. Alright, and going into arrays versus array list versus enums. So you use an array, first talking about arrays, when the list is a set length and will not change. So in our game, we have this array. It's actually a two-dimensional array for location, different locations on the map. So this one's set at private location, and then you've got the two brackets, two sets of brackets. So with this one, it's once again an example where the length of the data won't change and the data itself won't either. So the locations in the game are going to stay the same. The user might move around, but the array holds the locations. And then going into an example of an array list, also from our game, we have the create tools list. So we've got this array list we've defined called tools, and then we add an item to each of those tools. So you use an array list when the data could change, or the length of the list could even change. So in this one, we have 4 different tools and the amount that we currently have of those tools, but that could change. So we have the shovel, there's 10 of them, but that could change to 20 or whatever the change might be. So you want to use an array list when those things could change. Moving into enum, we actually don't have an example of an enum in our game, but I have an example here. So you use an enum when you need a predefined list of values, when those things are also not going to change, but it just holds values. So east, west, north, south in this case. All right. And once again, talking a little bit about array list, but this time talking about our for loop, how we iterate through that to output the whole list. This is the whole example of the prepare tools report that I put together in our game. So moving through this first section, we've got where it'll put tools in the storehouse, kind of what we'll have as a header, and then we're going to loop through the list of tools and build the body of the report line by line. So we use a for loop, and a nice shortcut in Java. Instead of having to put the whole syntax for a loop, you can just put the list item, and it's the tools list. So then we'll go through and get the name and the number. So put together a string called name, and we have that connected to item get name, and then same thing for number, but it's an integer. And then down here we're going to build the report line by line. So our report plus equals, so it's going to add it to each line. And this is how we format it so that it looks nice, and then name and number, and we return the report. So again, talking about array lists, we can, when this prepare tools report is called, it will return this report, what we got from this loop, the whole list, and all formatted nicely. All right, and then talking about errors and what we do about those, essentially the try and catch in Java. So we've got in this example the cell land view. Moving down to this section right here, you have the do right here. So we define our Boolean params not okay, and then if that is false, then we'll be asking the user how many acres of land do you wish to sell, and then they'll input their value, that what they would like, how many they want to sell. So essentially, the word try, it's kind of self-explanatory. It tries to call the sell land method in the control layer to sell the land, and we have a catch phrase here. Didn't mean that pun on words, but hey, this catchphrase, and we have our crop exception. So on that one, we have a different class in our game called crop exception, so it's going to reference that. So if something is not, if the value is not correct, then it's going to output, I'm sorry master, I cannot do this. I apologize about a typo there. Let me just go ahead and fix that now. And then, yeah, so it's going to output that message there. So, and it's going to do that while the params are not okay. So that's kind of what we do with errors in the game here, so that we can have the game not shut down just because there's an incorrect value put in there. The game will still be able to run. It'll just say, hey, this is incorrect, and allow it to put it in again. Alright, let's talk about byte versus character stream. This is something interesting I didn't really know about Java before this class. So byte stream is 8 bits, and when you use a byte stream, it processes it byte by byte. It's useful for raw data. Versus a character stream, which is 16-bit Unicode, which means that you can other languages can use that, whereas 8-bit is kind of more the Western languages. 16-bit, there's a lot more characters and things. And this one is useful for text files. So it processes character by character. And I'll show an example of that here as well. We're going to use print writer, so I'll just go ahead and pull up the game we've got here. We'll just go ahead and we'll run it. We'll start our game, and then I'll input my name. We'll go into view list, and then the option here, save the tools that are in the storehouse file, is what we want. So we'll input option 4, and then it asks the file name to save the list of tools to file. So we'll call this, how about my tools? And since we have the code all put together here, I've got the example up on the screen. Essentially, we once again have that try catch, but we enter that, and then it's using a print writer right here to essentially allow that to work, to make it so that we can save those to file. And so let me go ahead and save that, and you'll notice on the left side when I save that, that it actually creates that file right here on the left side. So it creates this new file, and it's got the list of tools in it, so it correctly saves it to a file called my tools. So that's how that works. That's how print writer works, and it uses that character stream to make that happen. Alright, so let's go back to our presentation. We've got City of Erin in NetBeans. We're going to go ahead and just look at what our game looks like. We've got a lot of stuff we've input this semester, so I'll just run through a few of those, and we'll we've actually already got the game running, so might as well just go back to the game menu, go back to the main menu, and we'll start from there. So you can start a new game. Your responsibility is to buy and sell land. Actually, starts a little higher. Sorry. Welcome to the City of Erin. You have been elected to be the new ruler of the city. Your responsibility is to buy and sell land. Determine how much wheat to plant each year, etc., etc. Please type in your first name. So I can put my name in. Brings me to the game menu. At this point, we have the option to view the map, view the list, move to a new location, manage crops, return to main menu. So we don't have our game entirely completed, but just to show a few things here, if we go into the view the list, if we do 1, it can view the animals in the storehouse. Let me bring this a little bigger so you can see them. View the animals in the storehouse. And then, oops, let me just close out of that. And we've got our output showing right here. That way you can see it a little better. And then if we want to view the tools in the storehouse, we can do that as well. That's going to show us right above our list menu again. We can view the provisions in the storehouse, number 5. We can save any of these also to files. So let's say we want to save the provisions in the storehouse to file. So if we do number 6, give the file name my provisions, and it shows up right here. Save that one to file. And if we were to open that, it would show just like the tools. And we can go right back to our game menu. From the game menu, we can manage crops. So land is selling for 21 bushels per acre. How many acres of land do you wish to sell? How about 3? How many bushels of wheat do you want to set aside to feed people? I don't know. I haven't really looked at this. So how about 400? So once again, the game's not complete, so it's not going to go much further than that. But that's how that one works right there. Let's go back to the main menu and show a couple other ones. So to get some help on playing the game, we can do option 3. On this one, we can view a lot of different things: map, movement, list, just some help on that. And once again, we've got a few things that we could add to that, but it's not all complete in this game. We can save the game. If you do number 4, please enter the file path to save your game. We could do that. And really, that's where we're going to end. We've got a few other things in here, but that's some of the basic things that we've worked on quite a bit this semester, so we will leave it at that. But it's been pretty interesting to learn about Java this semester. I didn't know anything about it. And to, I guess, just kind of get these basics a little more down has been pretty interesting. So it's cool to have a little base understanding, and be cool to learn a little bit more so I can be a little more fluent in it. But it's been a good class, and it's been fun kind of going over this to see, even for myself, just to kind of summarize what I've really learned. So it's been a pleasure, and thanks for watching.